It has been a year of blood, sweat, and tears, but finally we have reached the summit at the Blast Premier World Finals. And after one last best of three, one last grand final, one team will be crowned the King of Kings, and two champions from different eras in 2021 stepping up to the plate. First of all, Gambit, the kings of the online era, coming in looking hot. And then NaVi on the other side of the server, picking up trophy after trophy since coming back to LAN. I don't think there is a better way we could be rounding out 2021.
I 100% agree with that for you. I really, really do. I think this is the best possible game we could have had for the final one of the year, especially when you look at the storylines, when you look at what's at stake here as well for NaVi to, just rub it in the face of Gambit one more time. I think NaVi took a big of a hit during the online era. We all saw NaVi not playing up to their best. We also saw how frustrated they were with playing online Counter-Strike. And, we're in a world where recency bias is as potent as ever, people seem to forget the fact that Gambit elevated Counter-Strike during the online period. Some of the Counter-Strike, some of the innovation we saw from Gambit come out of them, they elevated Counter-Strike and took it from a high level to an incredible high level. So, again, kudos to Gambit for doing that, but also kudos to NaVi for catching up, because they're up there right now and arguably, again, the best team of the year. Yeah,
what made Gambit really pop and come into the spotlight was having extremely strong fundamentals, having really, really good team play, but what made them win tournaments was their individuals, that they were just playing lights out, right? You remember that first part of the season, Shiro is great on the op, Exile as that second star was super impactful, and then you have Hobbit as the veteran player, right? Especially in the playoff games was when he was playing his best Counter-Strike.
Yeah, some huge showing from Gambit throughout 2021, and coming into this, they're going to have to be coming in hot. Not just a beautiful trophy that you can see down there, not just pride on the line, but a huge chunk of change. This is one of the biggest prize pools of the year. $1 million to be rounding out 2021. 500,000 of that go into the first place.
That's a lot of money for you, and especially for NaVi. I think they're looking to make this year the most in-bringing year ever in history of Counter-Strike. They won so much, and was it 3-point-something million? It was ridiculous, and a ridiculous amount of money. Adding to that, the sticker money, the sticker capsule, the autographs, etc., etc. I'm sure, as you said, Bit and his family must be having a nice Christmas.
Yeah, they're going to be having some heavy pockets, and definitely after coming out of here as well, a huge prize pool to be fighting for heading into this coveted grand final. So let's weigh up our teams a little bit coming into the ring. Of course, they are here joining us in our Copenhagen studio, and it's interesting to look at our trajectories from both of these teams, as we were alluding to, coming into this tournament to round out the year. And I want to bring up a point that you were pointing out about NaVi, going way back to the beginning of 2020 where they were looking really hot at Katowice. We thought, they're major on the cards for them. COVID happened, the online era happened, and it was kind of a weird adaptation from NaVi, because I know that Blade was saying a lot of the time they didn't want to come into this bootcamp environment together because they didn't want to get used to it, and they didn't want to rely on it because they were so certain they were going to be going back to LAN so soon.
Yeah, and that was the problem back then for NaVi. Cool little story right here. You know why the majority of the NaVi fans dislike me out there? Every time we were on a desk, in 2020 and 2019, I always advocated for NaVi, saying that they have the potential to be the best team in the world, but it was always like NaVi winning a tournament, giving us that hope, showing us that they can be the best in the world, and then the next tournament they would bomb out. Then they will play well, then they would bomb out. It was that for such a long period. Then we had Katowice, where they absolutely destroyed and owned everyone, and then unfortunately COVID hit. It's good to see NaVi now being a much, much more mature team. They're consistent. They're coming into every single tournament well prepared. They play well all the time, and even when they're not winning, they're always competitive. That's not how NaVi were the last couple of years. So all the things we've been begging NaVi to figure out, where do we find the consistency? How do we make sure that the team of NaVi is playing consistently good Counter-Strike every single tournament? That's what we begged them to do, and that's what they delivered in 21.
Yeah, I think things have definitely come together at the perfect time for NaVi. The beginning of the year, yes, they won the global final, right, but they couldn't find much consistency from that point on. You can see what happened was that Bit joined permanently, and he started playing great, but also NaVi was a little bit outdated on their T side. They were behind the meta on some maps. That T side Mirage, I remember that vividly, just didn't really look great. They were looking lost a lot of times, and Blade, finally, credit to him for that, kind of admitted it and realized they need to kind of update their game and look maybe at some of the other things, how they're doing things. And as soon as they did that, they had like a bit of a time off to boot camp and kind of refresh their game, and that's when you just saw NaVi you know, just explode, really started playing much better Counter-Strike. And then when we were back on LAN was when they really got into their zone.
Yeah, and I really like that we get to see at the point that Bit was coming into the equation here, because we did see them experimenting with that 6-man lineup towards the tail end and coming into the beginning of 2021. And it was interesting to see Bit's debut. I know we've talked about it before, but it was a baptism by fire against Astralis on Inferno. And I don't think anybody could have, you know, expected this trajectory of Bit to be going to such a high level coming to the end of the year.
No, to be completely honest, the first couple of times we saw him play, we weren't that impressed, and rightfully so, right? He wasn't playing good Counter-Strike. He wasn't bad by no means, but he was not a player that came into NaVi and elevated them or took us by storm. But slowly but surely, he got integrated into the lineup. I think the discussion between the NaVi players and Blade, of course, as well, in order to remove flamie and bring in Bit, at the time, must have been a bit of a question mark. I think they took a little bit of a gamble. Obviously, they've seen something in practice we haven't. They know the player better, but ever since Bit got integrated into NaVi, and that's the most impressive thing, he's been elevating this lineup. He's coming into a NaVi lineup with Simple and Electronic, and he's the one that is elevating the lineup to new levels. Of course, Simple playing better is a big part of that as well, but without Bit, I don't think we would have seen NaVi dominate as much as they have.
I don't think NaVi was banking on him being this good, right? They were expecting it. I think the change came mostly due to, you know, maybe a bit of lack of motivation from flamie. I think that was expressed publicly as well, that his work ethic wasn't the best. He struggled to motivate himself really to work, and they just felt like they needed to refresh the team, basically the atmosphere a little bit, by bringing in this kid who's going to be obviously very hungry to prove himself and to compete. And yeah, it was a great decision in the end for NaVi. It really turned the tide for them.
And that has reflected in the amount of accolades we've seen NaVi picking up towards the tail end of the year. We just got to look at them on this graph, and it's incredible.
And listen, this is why we say it's the year of the CIS teams. Like, out of the 11 big tournaments we've had this year, Heroic won Pro League, the first one this year, and then you had Vitality last week win IEM. That was without NaVi being there.
Yes.
And at IEM Winter was the only tournament where there wasn't a CIS team in the grand final, right? Like, it's just crazy how dominant they have been in this year, showed some great Counter-Strike, and that's why I feel like it's super fitting that we get them to close out 2021.
Hard to argue against it. Hard to argue against it. For the longest period, the CIS region was a region at least the Europeans looked towards and thought, okay, they're hardworking, they practice a lot, and you can probably testify to that as well. Some of these Facebook groups where teams are seeking for practice, sometimes you'd see a CS team practice maybe 10, 11 maps a day, and you'd think to yourself, why on earth are you doing that? Where's the quality coming in? You're jading yourself. But I feel the CIS scene have matured a lot lately, and right now they're sticking it to us, right? They are the strongest scene. You have teams like VP out there, you had Spirit for a long time, you have good CIS teams also on the brink, so the talent pool is also deep within that region. So it's not really a big surprise. They're hard workers, and it's bearing fruit right now.
Yeah, a lot of practice for all of these teams on the cards, but a lot of practice against each other and a lot of officials over the course of this year. We do want to roll back the clock to the major semi-final, because this was a very interesting one. We were branding this as being a really, really close affair. It simply wasn't.
Yeah, well, we were really hyping it up in a sense. I think we all expected NaVi to win, and NaVi was the favorite because of the LAN environment and the crowd. You have to remember, it's the first time, you know, these kids on Gambit are playing in front of a crowd, in front of such a huge arena. Only Hobbit had experience with that, but I don't think any of us expected this big of a stomp. I mean, you can just see it in the KD difference, in the result on the maps. Even on their own map pick, Gambit got defeated 16-8. Very convincing victory for NaVi.
Yeah, a bit of a shame that semi-final didn't deliver more. And I think Gambit also, after the game, some of the players, NaVi in particular, was also disappointed, right? They believed they could do better. And let's not forget, we discussed that earlier as well up here during the tournament, that Gambit were one of the few teams who had a positive win record against NaVi throughout the entire year, mainly based in the first half of the year with the online period, but still they felt comfortable whenever they went up against NaVi. So I think that one was a very hurtful experience, and that's also why I look forward to this game, because I'm 100% sure that we'll see a better playing Gambit today.
Yeah, a key chance for redemption for Gambit coming into this one, but we do have a few words from Hobbit about that very semi-final.
And do you think that it's better for you guys playing in this studio environment rather than have a crowd for this game?
I mean, it's better one for sure. I mean, I remember last time it was a major. So yeah, a lot of these tracks, it's a bit confused us. You know, it's a bit better to be on the studio right now. But we already getting some experience. I mean, if we will get today some crowd, it's maybe better for the future.
Okay, so it's learning, right? Step by step, you're going through it. But how is the team's confidence and mood now before this game? And did you expect to face NaVi?
I mean, not for 100%. Yeah, in my head it was like NaVi may be tired, maybe, I don't know, they lost some motivation. They won a lot, to be honest. I mean, they yes, they created some era, and they won Intel Grand Slam Major. I mean, it's the best thing in CSGO history. so yeah, but they improve it game by, I mean, day by day, game by game. So yeah, now we can see their best form, shape. So yeah, it's gonna be a hard one.
Who do you think is more motivated and hungry to get the win today?
Of course, I think we are more motivated. Yeah, to be honest, it's going to be great to end this year on the good note. I mean, to finish the year exactly how we started the year.
Let's see if you can do it, Hobbit. Thank you very much, man. Good luck.
And that's really interesting to get some thoughts from Hobbit about that showing in Stockholm, because I remember in some of the interviews, I did on stage with the guys from Gambit, the fact that Hobbit was saying, you know, we're quite nervous coming onto this grand stage. And I spoke to NaVi, and he was like, no, not nervous at all. I'm not even affected by the crowd. I've done this a million times. He hadn't by that point.
No, of course. And you're young, you're inexperienced, you're playing your first big major in a filled arena. Of course you're going to be nervous. There's very few players out there who can, you know, testify on oath and saying they aren't nervous in a situation like that. So it's natural. It's good to see, though, that Hobbit is aware, and he is also the guy they have to learn from, right? He's the experienced element within this Gambit, used to be Gambit Youngsters lineup. As we discussed, Team of the Year conversation as well, Janko, Hobbit potentially made the best comeback of all time in Counter-Strike in terms of his own playing career. He's tried it all, so there must be a lot of experience to drag out of him.
Yeah, the redemption arc is really great when it comes to Hobbit. And listen, I think you were spot on with the experience when it comes to the interviews and whatnot. And I think also in that semi-final game, they were just shell-shocked, I mean, by the crowd and by what was going on in a sense. And I also think it's fair to say, probably whichever other team played against NaVi on that day wouldn't have gone much better. So it doesn't have, you know, maybe too much to do with Gambit, definitely had, but NaVi was just too good that whole tournament. I mean, they didn't drop a map.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if Gambit can redeem themselves coming into this one. We do need to take a look at some of the trophies that have been on the line this year, however, just comparing these two sides, of course, a lot of trophies between them coming into this, and it's crazy to see how young these players are as well.
Yeah, great to see for fans of both of these teams, you know, they can keep these rosters for a while and still be extremely competitive. And you can see the obvious difference here is in the LAN trophies 3-1, and the one for Gambit is, you know, basically a tier 3 tournament. I mean, in the V4 LAN, they didn't really, you know, the toughest opponents they faced were big and Tropic there. So that's where the difference comes in. When we talk about LAN, it's been all about NaVi.
And that's the cool story as well, because there was a period within NaVi, you know, last year where it didn't really work out for them. They were looking into roster changes and they tried to approach different players, no behind-the-scenes stuff as well. They heard, you know, is Exile a variable? Can we buy Shiro potentially? Is that a guy we can bring in, etc., etc.? And back then, NaVi's pull power wasn't as strong as it obviously is today. So it is sort of like this little brother taking on the big brother, where NaVi obviously still the biggest brand, obviously still the best team right now, have the most experience. They have Simple on the lineup as well, but let's not forget that Gambit, as you also said right here, they're very, very young, and the only thing that drags their average age up right now is Hobbit, who's significantly older than the rest of the boys. So there's a lot of future within Gambit, and right now, yeah, NaVi are the best team, but what happens in a year, 2 years, I think Gambit are trying to establish themselves as a team for the future as well.
I want to throw it back to how we saw Gambit qualifying for this very tournament, the Blast Spring Finals, because at that tournament, we were really prefacing the fact coming into this, if Gambit can take down NaVi, if they have the cojones to do that, that cemented them at that point in time as being the better CIS squad. So just looking at the storylines and how they've developed from that point now, 6 months later, it is really interesting to see both these teams going head-to-head again.
It is. It's a grudge match. I'm sure Simple is, and NaVi for that matter as well, is finding a lot of confidence in the fact that NaVi stuck it to them, you know, in the later parts of 2020 and the beginning of 21. Simple is used to be the best player in the world. He used to be playing on the best team in the world, and he's not okay with someone from the same region being better than him. And that was the case for a long period with Gambit and NaVi. So I'm sure there's a lot to be proven on both sides right now, which is why I think it's going to be a fantastic game, because the motivation from both sides of the server right now must be enormous.
And it's incredible to look at, I guess, some of the differences between these two rosters, because we always talk about the side of Gambit as being an incredibly well-rounded team, and they have definitely proved that so far at this event.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the strengths for them, and I've been saying it, you know, quiet. They've had a quiet, we haven't been talking about them all too much. It's, you know, now they're in the grand final, and this is the main reason why. I mean, they have all 5 players in the top 12 rated of the tournament. Even Inters as the support player, 1.08 rating, and I think that's the main reason why they've been winning, because everyone has been having their moments and everyone has been contributing.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And I also said it during the Team of the Year thing. I think a well-drilled team where everyone is contributing is always going to outperform a team that has 1 or 2 star players. The problem is, I think we saw the same for NaVi today. We saw a team performance coming in from them against Vitality. Simple wasn't the highest rated player on the server, arguably the guy with the most impact, but Electronic was up there. Perfecto had a good game. Same could be said for Boomage that all of a sudden took over on Nuke as well. So if you're Gambit right now, you just have so much stacked against you, right? You need your star players to elevate themselves. You maybe need someone to go off and play even better than we saw here.
Yeah, I think for me, though, we talked about in the Vitality game as well, right? Like Zyvo can't beat NaVi, Vitality has to beat NaVi, and this gives you confidence for Gambit. That, combined with the fact that they've beaten NaVi plenty of times this year. Yes, online, but they understand how they need to play against them. They understand what works, what doesn't work, but that big asterisk is that it was online. On LAN, the problem for Gambit, one of the big problems why they're not winning games is because they don't have the respect of other teams when they play them on LAN. Everyone agrees Gambit plays great CS.
Yeah.
You know, they have great players, but you're not scared of them on LAN. When you used to go against Fnatic back in the days in 2015, Astralis when they're on top form, right? NaVi nowadays, like, not necessarily scared, but there's like a, you know, respect factor there where you think like, I can't really do this against this team, they're gonna punish me, or like they start beating you in a certain way, you're like, this is how they do it to everyone, right? And Gambit doesn't have that element right now. They need to earn that basically, and once you get that, once you get to that level, it becomes much easier to play, right? Because you have the upper hand and you are basically instilling that fear into your opponent.
And just going back to Jacob's point as well about how we see these teams being rounded out as whole entities, the fact that, yeah, we're talking about Gambit being a very well-rounded team, but the fact that we have a NaVi like that, we didn't see it earlier with Simple having to pull off, you know, the star power performances because NaVi could do it as a whole, but they can be so well drilled together and have an exponential Simple as well. I think that is just kind of the finishing blow for a lot of the teams when Simple's really feeling it, and I bet you he is feeling it now.
It is. It's the reason why, in my opinion, if you're really going to be the best consistent, you have to also have the best players, right? And, or at least the guys who are going to step up when it matters the most in big time moments, sometimes take the game into their own hands in a sense of, you know, just will the team over the finish line. And you can see for Simple, he's definitely been trending upwards so far at the World Final.
And that's the crazy thing about Simple. When he's having a bad series or when he's having a bad game, he's just not having it, right? He's just going to showcase next time he's playing, next map he's playing, that he's the best player on the server. And he even took a bit of offense to his blast score right here, saying lol, the fact that it was only 94 when Nico had a 99, which I can low-key understand because Simple has been the best player throughout the entire year. And after the Liquid game, okay, we could argue that, okay, 94 may have been a fitting one for him, but ever since he's been playing like Simple has been playing throughout the entire year. Absolutely absurd the way he's performing every single time he's joining this.
Well, let's get the picks and bans rolling in for this one as we've pre-faced so many matchups between these two teams. What do you expect?
This is one of the most interesting vetoes in the scene because these teams' permabans are the strongest maps for their opponent. So just by default, you get rid of a, you know, huge problem for yourself potentially, but also a great advantage for your opponents. And we see here outright NaVi go with the Mirage pick. That's a bit of a punish, really. Gambit lately struggling on the map, and we'll see for Gambit. First ancient of the tournament. I actually didn't think this was going to happen because it takes a lot of balls and a lot of confidence to pick a map you haven't played the whole tournament. So the first time you have to play it is in the grand final. You only do that if you're like super comfortable on the map, and it doesn't matter that now you're playing it for the first time.
This is a super cool video. Of course, Ancient coming in, we haven't seen it all tournament long as you're addressing, but also the fact that NaVi picked Mirage. That is the first time they do that in this tournament as well. So we have a lot of new aspects coming in for these two teams.
I would have expected Dust 2 from NaVi, to be honest.
Me too.
You know, like they've looked great. They also played it today. Gambit, it's been an issue for them lately. Like, yes, they beat Vitality in overtime, but you know that was like obviously a super close game. So yeah, a bit of curveballs here. Again, the Gambit not going for overpass right away, going for Ancient, right? It's a lot of different things happening here.
How much of that is Simple's confidence? Because we have seen them play Mirage once this tournament, and I don't know if you remember, but Simple had a fantastic half and a fantastic game where he just destroyed his opponents single-handedly. So we even heard in one of the videos where we had sound on that Blade asked Simple, you know, which map do you want to play? And he just said Mirage. Well, there you go. so maybe that's part of the reasoning as well, right? Of course, everyone has to feel comfortable, but you gotta cater to your best player, and I think NaVi have done that with his map pool.
In terms of coming into Mirage for the other side of the server for Gambit, what are our expectations for them?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Just asking about Gambit in terms of what we expect from them from Mirage.
Yeah, it's been like, it hasn't been a great map for them. Then they suddenly started beating everyone. It's mostly a team role, and now it's falling apart again because a lot of it depends on NaFi, like being the point man in those T-side defaults, like either drawing attention to himself or getting entry kills down under window connector area slash catwalk, and then the guys playing on the sides as well. So I think the key is to win those duels early, not to allow NaVi's aggression, right, and the flash plays, the information plays on it, to punish that. If whoever wins that initial fight on mid, I feel like is going to get away with the game.
It does feel like a bit of a punish pick coming out of NaVi here as well. Gambit, the last 6 times they've played it, they've lost 4 of those games. They've lost to Copenhagen Flames. They've lost to a team called Entropic. Of course, decent teams, but not teams you'd expect NaVi to lose, Gambit to lose against. So they're coming into this matchup on Mirage, maybe feeling a little bit flustered and maybe not with the same amount of confidence they had earlier in the year on Mirage. So I'm afraid that we're going to see NaVi dominating, and I agree with what you said right here. A lot of it comes down to the initial rounds, and the problem for me when it comes to Gambit and the Mirage is the thing that works for them on the CT side is usually Exile on catwalk, being super aggressive towards middle and them fighting for mid control. But that's also one of the areas where NaVi have bettered themselves massively lately. They are not flustered by that. They can handle the pressure coming out of middle.
And I mean, what's Gambit's style? It's playing default, right? Like taking map control. Well, we saw what Simple did the other day to G2 when they were trying to play default, on the CT side. Like, he just completely dismantled them, and they had some set plays with, guy down in lower, flash comes in from window, they get rid of that guy going from B apps into lower B to fight for mid as well. So that's going to be a worrying sign. Does Gambit have some pocket plays, to kind of get it around that, and at least at the start of the half, and then they can go back to defaulting once you've won a couple of rounds?
Well, we've got our map cemented, and there only is one thing left to do, ladies and gentlemen. The final map of the year, the final match of the year, I should say. We're going into Mirage as the first round, so let's get into it. It's NaVi taking on Gambit.
Gambit have grown as the lands have gone on.
That's going to allow for NaVi to just stop the bomb. 8 seconds, a second. NaVi, he's got it. Hobbit also in, and it's a slip through from NaVi.
NaVi have hit the dream lower bracket run, and now it's their chance to take down their CIS brothers and take the final event of the year to cement their era.
So that's gonna happen, huh? Yeah. Oh! A third!
It is time for our grand finals matchup, and we've got the CIS game between NaVi and Gambit going down once again. I've got Groove with me here, and NaVi, they've given you guys quite a hard time on recently when it comes to these environments. You've been talking to me about the LAN experience, right? The studio environment, you're feeling more confident in that, like another step forward for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's more comfortable for us, and now it's 5th, I guess, LAN for us this year. So now I hope now we have enough experience at LAN tournaments.
You hope there's enough LAN experience. We'll find out soon, I'm sure. But in terms of the mentality of the players, how much are you going to put down to the mindset they've got to go in with? Because we know what this team can do.
So I think that we meet each other like most times than other teams. So it was most popular matchup NaVi Gambit this year. We already don't have any emotions or expectations or something like that. We just will play our game, and it's the last tournament, the last grand final for this year. So it's not something special. We played, I guess, 10 times, or even more. Every month we met each other. So.
And what do you think is going to be the difference this time for Gambit to try and take the win?
I don't think that it will be some differences. They knew all about us. We knew everything about them. So maybe the difference that this tournament is very important for us, especially because we just have to prove that we are one of the best teams in the world. That is why, and now for us, every LAN is very important because, as I said, we didn't have a lot LAN experience before. So.
Well, let's see if that makes a difference. Groove, thank you very much for your time, man. Good luck. I'll make my way over to the NaVi side and go and catch up with Blade. Now, they've been in this situation before. They've faced off against Gambit many times. He's going through his last-minute discussion with Boomich. Hello, Blade. You seem in a good mood. How are you feeling?
The same.
Yeah? Just the same. Just ready for another catch. But it's Gambit this time around, right? They have been a tough team for you to deal with when it came to the online era, but on LAN, it's been a different story. Do you think they're ready for this kind of matchup against NaVi?
Yeah, they getting experience. It's not a stadium, not arena, it's a studio. It's much comfortable. So I think it will be interesting game and they will probably play really good CS.
Were you surprised by the Ancient pick at all?
Yeah, we actually expected overpass because it's they have really strong overpass, and I think Ancient was not as good as overpass for them.
And we haven't seen much Ancient in general, right, from teams overall. How do you feel in terms of comfort and confidence with your Ancient?
In our side?
Yeah.
It's still a little bit random map. They're playing really slow. They will try to catch us with mid calls, with proper mid calls, and I think that this is first Ancient, right?
Yeah.
On this event.
It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Blade, thank you very much for your time as always. Good luck going into the game. It's time for us to get into our grand final. It's time for us to see how this epic matchup it's going to go down. It's Gambit taking on NaVi. Let's get ready.
Well, folks, it's about time. No more analyst desks, no more discussions, no more timeouts or fluff content. It is the final match of Tier 1 Counter-Strike for 2021, and this is CSGO. All right, Gambit, NaVi, locking horns. Gambit have never lost a match to NaVi at a Blast event. Maybe that's a good omen going into this. I don't know who's going to take it, but this is Scrawny and Launders bringing you guys the BO3 between these two teams, and the Betway odds have NaVi painted as the favorites.
It's an incredibly serious matchup and a great veto to boot. And I think even though that's the case, the stat line you brought up about the Blast games, it's still Gambit who have more to prove. And I love the frankness between both Groove and Blade when it comes to expectations for the team, as well as their level of reverence for the other. And I think that shows, where they stand. But I believe that self-awareness is what, at the end of the day, is going to elevate you to the levels you need to get to. So even though it's honest to the point that it makes Gambit look a little shaky,
Yeah.
it also shows how seriously they're taking this matchup. And they're here to prove that they are a LAN champion level team.
It's time to do it. They've earned their experience. They've earned their respect. They've had their chances before, but this one's a big one. A lot on the line. Not to mention a good amount of time as well for that wound to really sink in. NaVi choosing Mirage in terms of the battlefield to kick off this best of 3. They'll have to start the party on the T side. They've got a smoke still for Boomich and NaVi's first contact here towards mid window. A lot of presence here for NaVi bottom mid.
This map is heavily in favor of NaVi getting into Mirage. It used to be a map that I think a lot of people studied Gambit on. I feel like they were incredibly powerful on it. Their T defaults, slow and crawling, but almost always were able to put so much pressure and break the best of the best teams. But lately, the wins haven't been there. Now the exec is coming on.
Inter's in the corner. Oh, he spots him on the flyby. Still, 4 headshots. Perfect from Gambit. Perfect.
It's the $500,000 matchup. Gambit won the first round.
NaVi didn't have any pressure. I think it's almost like when they fly by Inters there, everybody turns back attention because the player didn't clear him as he's coming off of the balcony. He falls down instead, so it kind of drew everybody like, who's going to handle this? And then in that moment of hesitation and that moment of curiosity, we get NaVi on site, just total killer. So Gambit, they draw first blood.
That's a clean one. And they do it denying the plant. They get 3 SMGs in the mix. So they're going to be happy to kick all these engagements. And just a slight investment to, I think, look for the opportunities to take the SMGs out. I think it's an understood game here. At least NaVi are the ones who, know what kind of buy Gambit will have. And Gambit reading, there will be no full force. But looking to do some damage. And then Gambit are going to need all the kind of free rounds or 50-50 rounds they can get just to make this game competitive, really leaning towards NaVi, at least on Mirage. Cool to hear that Ancient was a surprise as Blade continued to be honest about everything. Big smile on your face. We haven't seen Ancient at the last 2 LANs?
Yeah.
The last 2 LANs?
The last 2 Blast events.
Yeah,
Nothing at Fall Finals, and now the final match. The entire year, it gets to rear its ugly head. I sympathize with you as well, man. The fact that Blade is honest.
Yeah.
Tells us it caught him off.
There's just so much map control has actually been taken quite effectively here from NaVi. Sure, will have some pressure put on the ramp. He's got an MP9, so I don't know. We'll see if he plays close or on Tetris. He's got a teammate in the A ramp, which frees him up a little bit. But NaVi are getting very, very close. The rotations are going to be hard if any of these kills come down on the ramp.
It's just the explode. Time to pop. Ramp man comes back, peeks along with it. Hobbit and Shiro, good for the first 2. Axile comes through Murder Hole, and then NaVi on that CT rotate, guns down the double. It's 4 players alive for Gambit in back-to-back rounds.
That's very tricky. It's Gambit's, one of main focus for Gambit is what their ultra passive setups. They might be the best team in the last year that we've seen. That's the thing about them. You get all this map control, you get all this space, and you think these are the keys to success. And then as soon as you cross a certain line, that's when they pull the trigger. The rotations are absolutely perfect. Of course, we're seeing the most amount of top 15 players in the server that we'd get in any other matchup. The performers on Gambit, absolutely extraordinary this year to match up with NaVi.
Ooh, Boomich. There it is. NaVi going to get an early man advantage. He is very much on his own towards middle, so very... Ooh, hold on. I was going to say crucial kill. Shiro trades it back with the frag versus Perfecto. Hobbit able to get right back down. And no other player pushing through that palace smoke. It was just the one-man foray. Good flash. Shiro assisting Hobbit and making the most of that MP9. From a 5v4 to a 2v4. Now Boomich with a little bit more life in him. The only player for NaVi to do anything this round as everybody else fell on their attempt to exit A, and that will be his graveyard too. 3 for Gambit off the 4v5.
Yeah, it's a confidence call as well to get Shiro on the op. If they lose that round, it's incredibly expensive. And they won the last round so cleanly as well. So he could have bought up you know, another rifle or something like that and just waited it out because he's got MP9 surrounding him. Of course, they are going up against a full buy, but that's the 3-0 start. The setup looks fantastic. Shiro's there with impact, getting leverage, and he is the third performer, individually speaking, at this event.
Ooh, a little reminder of what they can pull off. Follow-up damage here too. Axile, not a comfortable spot whatsoever. Both of these kills coming in from Electronic. Gambit all of a sudden a little shaky, and Shiro falls off with that one shot towards top mid. It's this player in bottom that's bit. It's a nervous one.
The setup right now, they can actually float quite a bit because they have pushed up deep B apps control, so they're not super concerned about that. In the early round, they also still have a weapons advantage and this utility. And as long as Inters is posted up in this position, I think they should be searching out as much info as they possibly can get. And we're crossing the minute, but we're actually going back over towards the A site. A very interesting call here. Inters will not be able to hear that. But the CT's still floating about.
A1S grab from the bottom of middle. Bit just timed it.
And a real problem with A in this situation is there's no smoke grenade to use for NaVi. So this plant is going to be anything but free.
Yeah, going to need guns up, eyes open.
Well, what they potentially can do is try to molly CT/ticket, and then they can get a plant off. But that's what they got to be thinking about right now.
They've got to think about it with 30 seconds left. And if that's the solution to Shiro, then we're still looking towards Hobbit in jungle to possibly offer something, but Shiro's missed shot's gonna give them a little bit more leeway, a little more wiggle room, just a bit of runway, commitment to the spray here from Hobbit. Very clean for the 2K. Perfecto gets bomb back up, and even though there's no molly here on Shiro, Perfecto's still able to plant. Bit uses that M4 to get man advantage, and this means it falls on Inters. Now he's flanking pretty quick, and Perfecto just checked it. This has been timed to a T. And Perfecto, yeah, easy victim. Now, Bit was last spotted up towards Palace, so Inter should have that fresh in his mind. There's utility here on the play as well, including the smoke for bomb. This should make things a little easier for Inters. But does he want this kill? Or does he a little bit of a peek, that little bit of a drive-by, and Bit 3 kills in the round.
He had no armor on that round as well. They barely invested, so that is the conversion for NaVi. It is a gritty struggle all the way to the end, and a very nice attempt from Inters to find that flank off, but it's a jackknife frag from Electronic to scare everybody, and then a second to make things really, really bad. NaVi did a great job of just not taking damage in the middle of that round, staying alive, avoiding those floating riflers around A, and then a smart call from Boomich to take the A site. They made that work, but they had to go all the way to wit's end.
Double op setup immediately out of Gambit. Axile going to be swinging the second. That's a double deagle from Electronic and a 3-piece from Bit. Oh, but Electronic falls first.
Shiro missed a lot of shots last round. And one stat for him is, you know, he doesn't rotate very much, but his accuracy is insanely high, so it's not something you're used to seeing from him.
Utility damage setting this one up nicely for Gambit. Could definitely help considering they've got that FAMAS and the UMP in the mix. Evens out these duels versus the 3 AK players of NaVi. Another smoke inside window. Nafany's gonna hear that audio cue. He's seeing this in his mind's eye, figuring out the picture. Catwalk though, looking very susceptible. Molotov close. Gambit maybe piecing together a read here. We do have the lean. Sure enough, Nafany gonna be trying to get into position. Simple hit as he flies over. Hoppit's gonna end him. Perfecto's got the answer, and so does Bit. 3 AK headshots coming in for this T side, but remember, they're low. And again, the clock is 2. Nafany with a bit of positioning here towards column, taking damage, but also delivering. Perfecto's dropped, and Bit responds. Shiro with the op in the 1v2, and he's got a difficult choice, a difficult decision that leads him to the save.
This is going to be an amazing match, actually.
Feels it, right?
Yeah, the CS is really... Yesterday, we got a little bit of a weird one between NaVi and Liquid, and I was feeling like NaVi were not playing on their form and everything like that. But right now, I think they're hitting some key metrics. They're like not taking a lot of damage in these defaults. And here, it's a 4v5 situation, but they do a good job of getting positional compensation, taking over Cat. Also, Bit is having a hell of a match already with 1 clutch to his name. 3K on the entries on a full rifle round. And that is a round where Gambit invest a lot. They put down money for 2 ops, actually, to grab one on Axile as well. And it looks like they're almost about to get the hold, but Gambit are giving NaVi a lot of respect. And with some teams, you give them respect and you give them space, and they don't use it properly and they still fumble the ball, and that's where Gambit will pounce on you. But with NaVi right now, with the way they're using middle control, it's perfect. They're not losing anything. In that round, they got the opening kill taken away from them, but they're getting so much back.
Really emphasizing the stakes here. We are 5 rounds deep. First pause called. Both coaches who deserve praise. Tons of it for these rosters.
But yeah.
Gonna have a chance to input.
I know we talked about top 2 on that little fun death segment, but Groove has to be in the conversation, man, for what he's done. This organization as a whole has proved a ton for what they can do with FPS players this year. Actually extraordinary stuff. And again, Gambit are just a top team in the world. They're not a team that floats between tier 1 and tier 2. They're a consistent threat. They, yes, still have questions when it comes to LAN, and winning a LAN like this would be a huge statement, and it would make a huge mark on the year with only, you know, five or so events that are going to be able to prove that. And Gambit have been top 4, but not grabbed that win, you know, and that's what has caused some debate about exactly how good are they. Now, Shiro will carry this op forward, but NaVi are taking out the pawns right now, so Inter's going down, weakens Shiro in one way or another.
It's a good position for Shiro, seeing as if this apartment's follow through happens, then he's just going to turn around and catch it, but this kill makes it all the better. Now he can fully focus on apps. This would be a hell of a round for Shiro to deliver. A pistol versus pistol as the Glock of Electronic falls down from apps, but now everybody's kind of hesitating. They know this Opera's here. Oh, NaVi even going to be able to find Perfecto. Suddenly things are getting a little more interesting. And this is buying time for Hobbit to wrap around towards Market. Shiro, he's playing patient, simple, slowly crouching wide, but he's not going to be given this angle, not given the shot. The nade's what he needs. A dunk down on Shiro. Oh, and that ends it.
The composure from Shiro was exquisite. To see him on Cat, holding that angle, the natural thing to do, of course, is to just spot the cross on the site. Oh, NaVi tries to get the off. That gets denied as well. Great shot from Simple on top of the HE to get them into the round. So that is an enormous round. Simple's first 3 kills of the game so far, actually. And, of course, they have tons of impact written all over them. Hobbit will get one and get away. But look, man, the fact that Shiro sees people jumping out onto the site, but knows that they're going to be scared of him, realizes he has to take a risk. And the way that he takes a risk is just by holding his line, making sure that if they cross a certain point, he will get the frag. NaVi just searching, waiting for him to overface, go a little bit deeper. He never does it.
Yep.
And I just loved that you got to see both how much they respected Shiro and also how much Shiro understood that. Wow, that's the opener. This shot was also really cool. He waited. How often do you see an Opera just shoot right away?
I love the fact that they figured out his position. I mean, they knew he was still down there.
It's a beautiful thing to see that all come down to utility at the very end.
Yep. Utility, the unsung hero. Simple right back to this attempt at the B pick. Quarter of his health gone to the frag grenade. He falls back. Boomich takes a little bit of a peek into the A site, sees nothing. NaVi very much putting out their feelers here.
Interesting. The jump spot actually comes into play. Simple forgoes using his car molly or van molly. Just wait it out. NaVi team have been moving slower and slower lately, but they're always working. And we can see how aggressive they were about mid control, but not picking a site until very late. Now they just wait to see if Gambit are going to finally take an aggressive CT look in mid. And the A-side attack slowly creeps on. Boomich has already made his way out to Tetris.
Is this an underplayed site? I mean, we've got nobody back on Ticket, nobody up on Palace.
I think it's okay. The Ticket rotator can actually be very slow. He doesn't always have to fight. It's just about these moments right here, right before the exec actually comes in. Who wins these duels? And it's, yeah, Gambit will take one. So they're not scared.
Just gonna lean back.
Yeah, especially with the 5v4 now. They have to believe in the retake. They want to get some spam damage off, but they just don't want to die. Oh, man. Axile
And the push.
Yeah, off of Ticket.
Hobbit with the double. Chance at another one here as Electronic crosses over. It's a perfect outcome from Gambit.
Yeah.
5 strong at the end of it. Nearly a team ace, but NaVi not needed. That patience towards Ticket.
Yeah, the most Gambit of rounds, you know. You could say that you're wasting material to just have someone sitting in Ticket too early if it was never in the game plan for that guy to take contact. But what do NaVi want? They want that fight if possible. So Gambit have other plans. They wait patiently. They get their opportunity, and it's off of Axel, who is going to be the most loose piece, playing around Cat. He'll have the biggest vision cone for most of the round, and you know you have to trust him with that rifle. He's had some questions about his T sides. On the CT side, he is comfortable taking liberties. Hell, I've even seen Axel jump out of the window sometimes.
Do what you got to do. That's Simple's thoughts right now, as the single op is what NaVi will have to work with.
Definitely some quality rounds back and forth, man. I can't help but feel like either team right now would just be crushing anyone else.
It's a good game of CS, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Starting to piece itself together. Little run boost here, desperation. Work with what you got. And right now it's little. Passive from Axile. Can't forget. Oh, you can't forget. Gambit, you have already given NaVi one of these quote-unquote impossible rounds to win, but nice reposition here from Axile, catching Bit as he jumps in through that middle window. Simple's off is posted, and that's 2 now for the Undertaker. He's looking for more targets. We've got a player making sound inside of ladder. That's going to be information for Inters. Perfecto also just kind of romping around inside of the apps. That AK that Simple was able to drop and Boomich recovered is taken aback. Out of the control of NaVi. Still Simple within jungle, and time is of the essence. 20 seconds. Hobbit locked into this fight versus Simple, and that's going to buy time for the push to come closer towards the A site. Shiro drops a shot. Incendiary over towards Triple. An attack from the back. USP in hand, and he's down. Hobbit not able to find his target, but there's a challenge from Perfecto that offers up the bomb, and Simple gives cover again. NaVi pulling one out.
Yeah, just with the op in play. That's it. That's all they had to really make that happen. And it's the double boost in window. So you got to think, all right, why would Axel peek here inside of Cat? He got his kill in window. There was some threat. But how often do you boost 2 into the window? That's why Simple expected someone to eventually peek. What a last shot, too. That could have actually been a free kill for Inters. That's an unbelievable shot. I mean, that's the op out in the open. Plus, they have to plant the bomb, and Inters could jump on that.
4-4 off the back of that. 2 of the round win. Oh, a push. Disrespectful from NaVi. Excellent timing here from Gambit. It's in the head-to-head gun rounds that we've seen Gambit's best. It's in the rounds they're supposed to win that NaVi pull off what seems like the miraculous.
But I will say it's not one of those games where a team is like choking, where they only can win the pistoling rounds. NaVi are working hella hard on all these rounds. They're just, you know, there's some magic to the ones with pistols, but honestly, they still look really, really strong on these full rifles too. Gambit just actually looked that much better. So, all right, we've already got an even higher step up from Gambit here with this opening tactic to take one down. Opportunity missed for Shiro, but he'll spot one coming in late at mid. I say late, it's still a minute up.
Ooh, Exile's cap position catching Perfecto. We've also got NaVi left side window.
He kind of just passes him the ball, right? Shiro sees Perfecto coming out of underpass, so Axel's on full alert.
Again, those rifle rounds where it just gets stripped apart, like so meticulously, right?
Oh, such
textbook.
Such good connections being made here.
Every single position.
Yeah.
Every single kill.
It's crazy to think that you can come up, you know, with tricky spots to play on a map like Mirage that everyone knows so well, but Gambit are doing it.
Now Electronic with the impossible 1v5 single kill, and Gambit are going to take it back. They're making it hard for themselves by not being able to just clamp down on those lesser weapon rounds.
Yeah, no.
But I'm all for it because it's interesting.
Yeah, it's sick. I mean, it's a very popular matchup. They've gone head-to-head in a lot of important tournaments this year, and these are 2 teams that know each other. So a lot of these rounds, there's going to be some extremely high-level mind games that you know, are beyond minds like mine, and they'll be playing against tendencies they've seen from each other in recent memory, what they think they're going to do next, and we might see some plays look a little bit stupid or a little bit weird, but it's actually just because they're trying to go a couple levels deep. Because right now, if they play the CS that they saw them play last time, it's the other team that's going to win.
Yeah, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Viewing it without context isn't going to give you the biggest picture.
So that tactic and execution's perfect, and Axile gets used just tastefully off of Cat. He's getting just the one kill, not even close to a chance of him dying. Perfectly, you know, using his timing with the smoke as well, that he's buying a few seconds to jump up on the signpost on the towards B, and that's what's got him 2 important rifle round kills. And now NaVi are onto 2 Tech-9s in this buy.
One of which solo towards B-Apps. Oh, Axile going for it. Oh, almost an extension there from Axile that could have got him caught. Bit top mid giving cover to Boomich, whose Tech-9 has already been able to foray into the connector, and Bit will still pick up that duel. So extending or not, Axile gonna fall out to that cover, and Boomich gets his hands on an A1S.
Yeah, A-site is a little bit weird now. So, you know, we talk about sometimes having somebody inside a ticket, but Hobbit is playing within smokes in the site, so he has to play for himself. Now, off the side of default, you got a nice line towards connector, lots of timings there, and versus A ramp. If you don't get pre-fired, it could be good. Boomich just kind of have an opponent creeping up on him, but I don't know how. Oh, yeah, Shiro's looking for this. He's waiting for this. Yeah, he actually misses the shot. Oh, but Hobbit, he retains some compensation. They know Inters is just B-anchoring and holding it down, and the rotation actually looks pretty good from NaVi. They've scared him a little bit on this side of the map. On the mini-map, it looked like Inters was close, but I really don't think there's any chance he heard the footsteps.
Boomich goes for the split. He makes the jump through window room. This is going to be very much Inters tested here, 1 versus 3. The fact that Boomich survived that nade with 2 health and was able to drop down Shiro. Now Inters confirming that they're here, and he's just going to tuck himself back into the cover. He's got 92, and there's Bit to answer. 17 health for what's left of NaVi, 17 seconds as that bomb began to be planted, and Hobbit has a difficult decision. Do you save this off?
He's done. They have no HP, but he does not know he's too far away, and he had the op right in front of him. If he just had that rifle, and of course, maybe a little bit more HP for himself, he'd think about it, but it was a kill on Inters. That was everything. I like that Inters took a step out of the market, and he was thinking, maybe I should go overstack A with my teammate, but then really read NaVi well here. I think the call from NaVi was super pragmatic to take it to the B site, knowing Inters was alive with no information, and the pressure was just on the A half of the map. Wow, another really hard-fought round for NaVi, and they pull it out, man.
Dude,
this has been 10 rounds just incredibly close. Such fine margins.
Yeah, every foot, every inch, tooth and nail, these two teams.
That was a costly miss, though, from Shiro. A couple of bad rounds from him, even though he's had some impact as well.
Fair to say. We've got Hobbit actually taking the top for Gambit, 13-5. Is it fair to say Gambit, one of those players who you can actually rely on in some of the biggest games?
Yeah, definitely. And on Mirage is something I think about all the time, especially on T-side. So finding impact on T-side is always a little harder for for any CS players, honestly. And Hobbit, I feel like, is somebody who shows that Gambit are more dynamic than just that slow playing team. He's going to be the guy running a ramp every once in a while and finding an opening kill. And I think he imbues his team with confidence, right, when he does something like that, because he is the one holding the mantle in the form of a major for the whole roster and showing them what is possible, what heights they really can achieve. He's the absolute champion of this team right now.
NaVi not too far behind him here this evening. 11 kills to Hobbit's 13. I think NaVi's also somebody who's stepped up throughout this event as one of the heavier hitters for Gambit.
In an amazing year, you know, conversation for one of the best IGLs for sure.
Bit up close, dying out to Speak of the Devil. NaVi with the opening kill. Now Electronic could make a play knowing that these CTs have extended, but that would be a dangerous game to play with Hobbit having that focus upon him. So NaVi just sulks back.
Yeah.
This heavy alien leaving very little presence towards middle. A bit of a diversion from what we've had since Gambit started this CT side.
Yeah. It's a gift in your lap to be able to take mid control like this. So it's not that you know, NaVi should absolutely take advantage of that. That's free mad control. You can use that in the late rounds. It's Gambit who want to play this game. If any other team played like this, I would be way more worried for them. But Gambit, this is their comfort zone. Almost every single CT death, it feels like, gets traded within milliseconds. And when they've got a 5v4 especially, that's when they're cooling. Inter's going through the smoke in upper B, I think. Oh, no, he's just tucked. Okay, he's just going to wait. I was saying this actually changed the game for them.
NaVi on the cusp of just sinking their teeth into this A site. NaVi in a bit of a pickle. Turns his attention back, executes Boomich. That's a big pickup because now all of a sudden everybody else is just funneled into this A site where Hobbit's ready to go pound for pound with every player. Another one of these ridiculously clean rifle rounds from Gambit.
Insane. I can't believe NaVi gets that kill. He believed in the timing, he believed in his crosshair placement, and he didn't have the HP to make that look like a convincing spot to be in when Boomich swings. And that would be assisting in the collapse of the whole site, but instead what happens is this kill right here, you can't be understated. That is such an enormous frag to grab. And Axile, once again, it feels like a 1-2 punch. Every time NaVi does something on A, Axile feels like he could take the risk, look off of Cat, and help out. No trade in sight. Wow, some amazing moves being made between the two of them.
Rewards for their hard work here. Gambit just going to be facing the Deagles of NaVi. Unarmored for the most part, barring Boomich and Simple. And 2 smokes in this equation as well, so the brain of Boomich gonna need to piece together some type of play.
Underrated, but those jump spots are perfect.
NaVi playing out in the open, keeping it crisp versus Bit. Axile here to lend a helping hand. It's Simple to answer with something, and even following up with damage versus NaVi. Look at Shiro as well. 26 health for the 2 players still in mid.
Yeah, I know we want to get excited about it, but now that they've kind of lost those fights, let's see if he can peel back a little bit more. Shiro's still retaining window. Listen, there's a timing to get into the ladder room and put some pressure on him that way, but I don't know if they'll find it. Yeah, maybe they will.
Shiro's not ready for that. Oh no.
That's kind of a mistake by Shiro. He's a bit foggy, right? They don't have Axile on Cat. They're not spotting it. That was wait,
another one.
Oh, and those are the 2 players that are low.
Bro, for the 3rd time.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. A flank off the top of mid?
Yeah, this is from T-Spawn. This has been a long con from Hobbit. Inter's going to get the confirmation of the movement. This could actually activate Hobbit a little bit faster as he fires. Simple gets it. A missed movement. Inter's in. It's electronic down at the last hurdle. Gambit. Again, the heart attack moment. But this one they survive.
Oh, they got the info a little bit too late. They heard his little shoes hit the ground inside of the B apps, but it was just a bit too late. Inter's obviously stone-faced, but I'm sure that'll make you break a sweat a little bit. Nice shot here from Electronic. They took every opportunity they could. Again, they're working the map so well. The one gap there, the one exploitable weakness was the ladder room. Tashiro holding that angle. They found it. They are squeezing water from Stone at every single turn, but Gambit got a little bit of clutch here. They're really strong versus the full rifle rounds. They're edging this out, and this would be a big win, man. This would be a big win. Just the fact that it's Mirage. It's been an incredibly standout map for NaVi overall.
Man, by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah. So they're 8-2 in recent memory.
Oof.
Not much here out of Perfecto this game. And NaVi are 8-2 on Mirage in for all the relevant results all the way going back to the fall groups. The only 2 losses they have are 16-14 versus Heroic and 11-16 versus Gambit. So despite Gambit overall not having a strong Mirage recently, they at least know that they can beat NaVi.
Shiro with the deep peek. Takes 20 damage, but walks away with Perfecto's scalp.
Man, because of the other players right now, they're buying so much time for Shiro to shake it off, get comfortable.
Bit almost clears that, but they're so nicely tethered, right? We've seen multiple different setups from Gambit so far in some of these rounds where it's just like dominoes. The kills get toppled against NaVi, and this one a good example of it. Feels like, frags from spots we've seen for the first time and just keeping these fresh. Over and over, Gambit gonna move smoothly through this one. Finally getting away from those pistols without too hard of a cost. Gambit 8-5 the lead here on this CT side. 2 more rounds to ice it out.
Yeah, it will be a conversation on the desk that the few rounds that NaVi won have come off of these half-buy wins and everything like that. It doesn't do it justice to say that that's, that represents how well NaVi have been playing because they've worked hella hard in every single one, brought some very close situations, but Gambit is that much better right now. Wow, they'll go for the fast look on mid like that. It's just been given to them every single time. Not in a single aggressive CT start out mid.
Oh,
No, it's with the molly.
Oh, and he still comes back.
Oh, he's brave enough to just take that duel.
Whoa.
That's why he's the player he is, you know?
Yeah.
That's why he's the player he is right now. He knows exactly where... He knows exactly where the edges of the cards are.
Inters doesn't want to fall to that cat peek if Bit decides to make his play. Boomich will, in the meantime, though, go through jungle and catch NaVi back turn. This could draw them away from that B site, where Inters was so intently waiting. So instead, he decides to activate. Now, Bit's still up in the ladder. He just saw the head of Simple.
You know, oh, wow, man, look at the spread right now from NaVi. They are everywhere. They're holding on to everything, and they have lots of time to do it. It's a perfect default at the moment. The funny part is we have great answers from Gambit in all of these 3 different positions. If Axel tunes in at the right time and Inters and Hobbit wins his first kill, they could somehow pull this back, but this is the maximum amount of pressure.
Oh, there it is. Hobbit activates. There's already a player Tetris, so that's an easy answer back from Electronic. He's going to give cover. Ready for the Shiro duel on ticket. Jumping up, Inters takes damage. Oh, and that just moved the crosshair there from Shiro. 4v1 and a single point of HP here for Shiro. Done at the hands of Perfecto. A 6th round win from NaVi, trying to keep this half as close as can be.
Dude, they had all the synapses firing there. NaVi were on full alert. They had a really, really strong moment, especially when Bit finds this weakness. That's crazy because we see him move off the angle like, oh, he's so unlucky, but it's actually because they very carefully put that Molotov down to put pressure on that position while Axel cleared it, and Bit saw that Molotov, and he's like, well, it's a little bit deep. I have a second here. They're not going to expect me to come down the ladder, and those are the liberties that define Bit. A player who started out this year insanely disciplined to the point that it was crippling, and now it's starting to open up.
Yeah, he's letting loose. And so will NaVi here, taking to the top of middle. A deep foray and a fallback through the connector just as Bit decides to come sniffing in mid. Everybody's kind of left him here to his own devices. Problem is, if you give him too much room to work, he's going to punish it. Vents popped, draws attention. Bit goes for his play, but NaVi cuts him short. We've seen a lot of these rifle rounds be very clean to the favor of Gambit, and they could add one more to the tally here to close out this CT side. Minute left in a 3v5, and Shiro gets the best of Electronic. No trade here from Simple, and no way to do that as the jungle Opera moves all the way towards Ticket. Very comfortable moment here for Gambit to end this CT side. Perfecto and Simple need to combine, and at least they'll burn out Hobbit. Then there's a follow-up. Simple will get 1 frag off of that op, and it's a 49 HP Perfecto in the 1v3. He's piecing together the picture, but he falls. At the hands of Axile, Gambit will get that 3-round lead. A stellar CT side.
Hey guys, Kerrigan here. Right now we're watching CSGO screenshots, and I'm doing that versus Boomich, and hope you enjoy the content. Jesus man, this one is tough.
It's 2 things in my head. Maybe it's map the overpass or ancient.
Actually, it's not tough. So this is definitely on vertical, like we're building something.
I remember like it's something red, top of an A site on overpass, like a red billboard on A site on overpass, but I didn't remember this screen.
T-spawn is probably there, around the T-spawn area. Could be A as well, so I'll go with T-spawn.
But like, yeah, I will say it's maybe the overpass. Like top of on A side maybe, but I'm not sure. It's really hard.
Yeah, it was A, man. I knew there was something above up there. I knew it. I was about to say that.
I don't have chance on this map because NaVi not playing Vertigo, so.
What map is this?
Let me think.
It's for sure Nuke because of the textures. I'm pretty sure it's Nuke. Now I'm just thinking where it is.
I don't know what this position, but I think it's the Nuke maybe.
That would be probably the locker room on the window, you know, like above, on the heaven. There's a locker room where you shoot the windows. I think it's there.
It's in lobby.
Aha, but it's nuke, 1 point, easy. I'm pretty sure it's dust 2.
I think it's dust 2, B side. Like then you're going tunnel for T side, and right corner, it's their car staying.
It can only be where the car area is, where the car is on B. That's what I'm thinking, above there, but...
A 3-round lead for Gambit and a trifecta of impact between NaVi, Hobbit, and Axile. Those are the 3 shining stars so far after the CT side of Gambit. Any final thoughts of that first half to get off your chest before this one starts?
What a beautiful half of CS. It might have been the most beautiful so far that I've got to cast this tournament. Really love that. Every second of it. That was vegetables. You know, we got a lot of sugar, but that was just clean.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, that was good. I really feel fulfilled after that one. So hopefully we've got some more. It's crazy to see NaVi on the other side of that coin, and some amazing rounds won by them on those half buys. A lot of ingenuity, but still Gambit looking that much better.
Betway odds still having NaVi as the favorites as they trickle into this B site. 2 men down for Gambit. NaVi, stellar first hold. Soon the smoke will fade and everyone on display for Gambit. There's going to be nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide.
Yes, sir.
You just walked into the Bear's Den and you are getting shredded. But Axile's got a little fight left in him. That's 2 clean headshots.
He's got no teammates to worry about. Oh, okay.
Boomich with the drive-by, slide-by.
Yeah.
And that's NaVi to close the distance immediately on the defense.
He just hit the NAS. He just hit the NAS and swung it. That's a nice round. Makes the game close, which is perfect. The CT side from NaVi on this map is absolutely beautiful. My favorite CT side of any team on Mirage. I love how they work around B. So let's see if they can put enough pressure on Gambit. Again, mentioned it in the first half, but Hobbit leading in the map so far. Tons of impact. We've seen it. We remember a Hobbit flick, and he's going to be on T side, taking a lot of opening duels in very crafty ways. Like, he'll make it seem like an aggressive lurk, and then the team will be right behind him, but that's who they got to watch for, I think, the most.
Not much to watch for here in round 17. Deagle on Shiro could be the most explosive moment. Very curious to see if Gambit themselves can pull some of these wild wins out of the hat like NaVi were able to with the lesser weapons.
Yeah.
There was, what, 3 rounds like that to NaVi's favor in the first, so that could very well make the difference in the end. We'll see as time goes on, but for now, Gambit going to take their time as they start to trickle towards mid.
Yeah, definitely stand out performer for me in that first half from NaVi was Bits. You know, 11-11, but key frags for sure. Key frags. This is a simple farm, of course. Gets to play window, rack up all the RWS, all the rating.
A quick little mow down. Inter's going to try to emerge from smoke, but Electronic Barrel stuffs him. That's NaVi with a very clean conversion. 5 guys up. 1 round the difference, about to be a tied game.
That was like a free ability to tilt. You know, if Gambit won the pistol in this situation, NaVi knows they could still come back into it, but it's a mood changer to be able to grab a pistol, easy conversion, and now you get to see just, you know, 2 teams tied up with guns in just a second, potentially. Actually, the buy's not, you know, as we've seen so many times, the buy is not as convincing sometimes to the CT side. So promises to work with, and one of them is out quick, man. That was the right call, it looks like.
There's the answer. Oh, and an even further response, but Boomich getting the better of Hobbit. That makes things a little bit more evened out.
God, you got to appreciate how simple that is, right? That isn't one player swinging out mid-dry. That's like 4 players all at the same time, ready for all the action in case there's an aggressive lurk or aggressive look from the CT side, or in this case, a situation where they're just trying to boost into ladder room to get some kind of easy setup for a long round ready. Gambit have the perfect stylistic choice. Oh, man. and a wide open site.
Yeah. CT's nowhere to be found here at the A site.
Wow, wow, wow. The health bars are, you know, don't inspire confidence if you're Gambit, but they're going to be very happy to find there's not a single target here to worry about.
Yeah, that was such an instantaneous clash, like you're talking about. Tons of bodies trying to fly out.
And then,
ooh, that opens the door. That
actually
opens it up because there's also no bomb plant. So check out Boomich. He is just running through that T-spawn. This went from like, you know, a contemplatable save to a tantalizing attempt.
No, that's an absolute game changer. They have they have no timing on Boomich right now.
Nope.
This could be the 1v2. Shiro and Axel have less HP than him combined.
He's not watching. Boomich drops bomb. He's gonna fade away, jumps back, flash deep. Oh, but he loses his duel.
He doesn't hit any bullets.
Axile versus Boomich in the 1v1. Gambit come out on top and their 10th round secured.
Damn. He just crouches right underneath all of those bullets. I think it's only right that Gambit win this round the way they played it. It was the perfect stylistic choice. Go dry, swing out mid, full force. They found all their trades there. They were versus FAMAS's, and there was this feeling of NaVi. We need to trade this. We want to trade this right now. We have the T's out mid. Let's go ahead and do it. But that's the thing. Like, you can try to define Gambit as this team that slow crawls, puts pressure, and wraps you like a boa constrictor slowly, but once in a while they'll throw out a T round like that, and you'll have to rethink how you look at the roster. And that's the whole point of that, is to make sure you can't do that early round boost, to make sure you drop your nades early. Look at this.
You saw him. Perfecto's gonna have a false sense of confidence, but look at that bullet hole right there in the wall. That just whizzed by. Oh, and on the A site, we've got Hobbit down for the count. Nafany could go for the attempted trade, but he's looking to slip into this site unnoticed. Boomich also kind of doing the same thing here, playing with just a millimeter of a margin. But that FAMAS stays sharp, and the 5v3 secured here for NaVi. Oh, but as Simple's falling off of the ticket booth, Inter's catching him with the headshot. Now, the bomb's not been spotted, but it does, of course, belong to the ramp man. Shiro's able to get in through connector. This is Gambit just leaking through the cracks of NaVi's defense. Axile versus Bit, big fight, and the AK comes out top.
And they're holding steady. They have the bomb on the ramp, and they're really hoping they can take it to this site, and NaVi have not moved a muscle.
Holy hell. Again, these trades back and forth. Another round just like the last one that's gonna come down to the tightest of margins. Boomich with the op tucked behind ticket, 15 seconds on the clock. Shiro, he's gonna need to double back and grab bomb. Perfecto's now here to try and help. Axile could alleviate the jungle player, but Shiro does it on his own, and he's gonna start planting. Boomich, does he rush? He could push. Nope, Shiro doubles back.
Oh my God.
And Gambit emerge with a 3-round lead yet once more.
Oh my God. There's like a famous Russian chess grandmaster that said, maintain pressure, my friend. Maintain pressure. And this is exactly what they did. I can't believe the amount of players that just came out one after another, and that was almost the reason that they lost. The third player finally coming out ramp, and NaVi not rotating in that spot when they could have gone towards the B site. That almost cost them, but man, Gambit are just so convincing in these mid rounds.
It feels like it goes against so much of textbook CS. These walkouts, there's no tethering between players. You know, they're building the picture, but in terms of those moments, those individual plays, a lot of that could have gone untraded.
Man, the idea is just to induce frustration as much as possible.
It's got to be working. This one should be the freebie. Should be. And so far, so good. 5v3 here for Gambit. Not going to fall victim by the looks of things to what they did in those first 15 rounds. This one just shoved deep in their back pocket. They've got it. 12-8 lead on the T side of NaVi's map pick.
Yeah, and they're working hard, and it's paying off. We got to recap that last round again.
Go back.
Hobbit lurking out of halls. Axile in upper B. Both of them taking duels individually. 2 players coming up out of the ramp. How cheap are they? They're not spending any money on utility whatsoever. And the entire time, NaVi have to be worried. Can we peek with nades out? Can we throw something? Can we take map control back? Do we have time to move? It's such a mental win to be able to pull off a round like that. It's going to scare the life out of you on CT side. Navi are just, burning calories holding on to these angles. They look like dehydrated SpongeBob staring at a ramp, just waiting for the moment that a player comes out, and then 1 second later he does.
This is a replay back to the gun round that Mohan's alluding to. All of those little fights. The walkouts, as you said, with no utilities, just duels, and finding Simple like that, falling midair.
Yeah.
Crucial moment.
Yeah, that's the other piece of the puzzle, right? Not every team has this many good players in a row on it.
Mid-emphasis here from NaVi. As they get back into the gun rounds, they're looking for early real estate. What can we find for free? And mid is nearly theirs for the taking, but Axile perfectly timed with the lesser weapon, turns it up into Bit, drills him to the wall. And we've got a 5v2 at this point. It's gonna get turned back slightly by Simple. He's got Perfecto to work with, but Inters is planting bomb. This is Gambit just steamrolling their way to a 13th round win. Simple's gonna catch one deep in the CT spawn, but on 12 health, they need to go for the save. They've got to walk away and concede a 13th. NaVi are bleeding.
Absolutely. Dude, you don't hit flicks like that in deathmatch. I mean, where do you find these angles? What is this second frag from Axile? It's only the Mac 10. If he got traded, though, it would have been 4-4. Instant 5v3, and it's over Bit of all people. Ooh. That's a tough one to write home about. That is a brutal round, man. I mean, now the money comes into question. Simple, one other gun on this round in Perfecto. They can feel it now. We got this 5-round game. Gambit are coming close. We had NaVi yelling once, and that was after a really tenuous mid-round. Came down to the wire. NaVi had the right sight, and they still pulled it off. And that's because that round meant so much. That round mentally showed them that they could do it, that they could be clutch, that they could be calm in situations where they weren't favored or they thought they were going to an empty site and they weren't. They've been able to pull off these absolutely fantastic trades and keep up with the level of individual skill that NaVi have right now. And this is already the most lopsided it's been for NaVi on Mirage since forever. Looks like there's no investment behind these guns as well. Just a few bits of utility here and there. Some armor bought up to even out the money in total. But no X factor, just 2 rifles.
Two CTs on the forward A stance. Simple doing the window dance. Jumps back up and waits just next to ladder. It's not Axile on his own this time. He's brought the in-game leader of Gambit.
You see how perfect of a matchup this is. Like, we compare the defaults right now, and we're taking the map control here from Gambit, but they're way more careful about it because they know that NaVi CT side is conversely a lot more active. So they push up to a point, they wait, and they're looking for the engagements. They've shied NaVi off of one of their more aggressive tactics right here. The setup gets pushed, and it looks like the slow split towards B is oncoming.
This could be a deadly split, but the CTs do get ahead of it. 40 seconds. Gambit able to clear out the ladder room.
The rotations are
This
good,
is going to
though.
be a hell of a firefight, a massive clash inside of the B site. A 14th round and a 6-round lead. That is what's on the line. And first 2 bodies fall empty-handed. Those are the rifles out of the way. Bit with just the deagle trying to find the target. It is an empty-handed NaVi crumbling beneath Gambit as they stomp across this B site. Nobody holds them back. Nothing whatsoever.
I expected NaVi to win this game in 25 rounds. I thought for sure. Mirage, like, this is theirs. This is something else. That was such a perfect anti-eco setup from Gambit. All the flashes were so well timed, of course. They pushed the aggressive CT players off of their position safely. They just hit that site full force. And NaVi did the right thing, of course. You didn't have the utility to fight back on the map control aspects, so they do the rotation towards the site that they feel like is going to be hit. And they get 3 players inside the site, but none of those players get kills. So 2 rifles down, and they're in unobtainable spots for NaVi. They'll have these 2 5.7s, or this 5.7 and Deagle. They'll sit back and save. Gambit are on fire in the second half, and even though the first half was quite competitive, this one looked anything but.
We had the pistol, we had the conversion, and then it's been nothing but Gambit on this T side. A good amount of posturing going on here inside of the B site, but neither of those rifle players were even given much of a chance. So a 6-round deficit favoring Gambit, 14-8 on NaVi's map pick. 2 more rounds to take this away and lead us into Ancient.
About damn time.
Yeah, for the first time in the last 2 Blast events, we have not had it, and yet it feels closer than ever. NaVi gonna have to extend that delay. Smoke straight in the face of Hobbit. He just chills out. They hold towards twat. Ooh, hold towards
we call
top
it
mid.
twat.
I didn't. I didn't make fun of you when you ibidabba did it there.
How dare you,
mister?
How dare you even think about it? It's already a thought crime right there.
Underpass has been a pretty good avenue for Gambit's attacks, I feel. Really well timed on some of those exits. Shiro's ready to come combine. And a deep nade will chip a 5th off Axile. Bit, perfect headshot, and Simple finds one. Gotta be cautious on the fallback, because Hobbit's eye is now able to pry into A site if needed. 35 seconds yet again. Check out Bomb, though, sort of stranded. Still sitting towards Cat, of all things. And the challenge starts to unfold towards the A site, but a moment of hesitation here from Inters, and Electronic's gonna punish that. Goes on the attack. Maybe this round just fizzles out from Gambit, kind of getting towards that finish line, and the intimidation sinks in. This one falls flat. NaVi 5 strong.
Yeah, no, I mean, how many times have we seen this from Gambit? That is their brand, and a lot of the rounds in the past, in this half already, we've seen could have fizzled out in the exact same way, right? They just defaulted. They spread very little grenades. They tried to get an edge off on just one 50-50 engagement, tried to catch someone off slightly, use a flash here or there, really make it unclear exactly where they're going to peek, and then peek 2 or 3 things at the same time. And then that's why you can have a situation like this. So NaVi's default works out well. They're comfortable pushing back on all of these little maneuvers that Gambit are trying to pull off, and have now made this game at least a slightly more competitive. They're still looking for dignity here. They're still 5 rounds behind. Gambit are trying a default that has already brought them so much success, and that's the exact right call that you should make. You know, why should you try to fix what's not broken? And now that Gambit have that moment, they call it T timeout, they can discuss what they want to do that's different, and they can use that round as data, because NaVi haven't showed us a different look yet. We'll see if they take the aggression to its absolute limits, if they want to run up to the top of mid or do a double upper B push or something like that. But if that's not the case, I think Gambit are going to feel very comfortable. You know, it's never been a question, though, of Gambit as a roster and how good they are. It's about how well they play under pressure. That's the simple fact of it. That's what Groove was talking about. That's what's representative of their LAN performances. Although they've been good, they've showed us that they're great. Oh my God. What
Down goes Simple.
What a shot, man.
Can Electronic bail them out? Axile flashed and dealt with. That's the heaviest hitter from Gambit's squad. Answered back as Simple falls to the wayside for NaVi. It's a 4v4 at least. But how do you get Electronic out of dodge? He's stuck down into the underpass, and, well, there could have been somebody sitting at top mid, but Nafany's going to allow that exit. Now we have Gambit lean back on the clock. Still plenty of time to play.
Dude, NaVi have no flashbangs even, so he'll be able to get out of there, and Gambit are going to allow him. But I fear that as this round goes on, it's going to be NaVi to potentially run out of utility first, but they've got some of the key ones. They still have 2 smokes and Incendiary to work with. It looks like Gambit will walk it down mid. Knowing that Simple's dead allows you to take even more freedoms than you were already willing to take. Ooh. Oh, wait a second. No. He took out Shiro, and I think that it was spot. Nafany finds a frag on Electronic. B-split's coming. 40 seconds up. Perfecto moves into the back of the site, but there's no pressure off of Cat. We've got one in the window.
Hobbit gets dinked down to 11.
But look where the lurk is coming from.
Frag. Oh, he gets nailed. Perfecto gonna try to get out in time. He's got wind of what's happening. NaVi coming around this corner. He gets it. Oh, it's down to the 2v2, but Bit will make his difference. And we've got the bomb still on Inters. 15 seconds. How does he get in? And how does he manage to get this bomb down without being swarmed? He won't. The timing's perfect. Catching him just as he attempts his entry. Down he goes. And we've got NaVi with a 10th at least.
At least 2 in a row, 2 full rifle rounds down. Showing composure and resilience in a very scary spot. It looked like Bit, I was like, oh, is he gonna swing on the second kill? And it looks like he made the right decision. Staying alive longer allowed him to have even more efficacy as the round played out. And this is a nice little gap where he says, all right, I'm going to peek. That's Inters unable to even put the bomb down. But another buy here for Gambit, and they come through the fast tactic once again. And Shiro, he steps into the Molotov and then continues forward. They're maintaining this pressure, but okay, now Hobbit will get out of there. Get scary at Tetris. The molly lands before him. That damage still will count for something. Boomich already battle-scarred. 127 into the round.
Whew. Just works the ladder back down. There's a lot of forces getting ahead of this ramp play, and Boomich, he's already low.
Yeah, there's not going to be a far flash in this situation. Perfecto just on a swivel. I think this setup, with the way they're going to flash it, so I think he's dead. I think Boomich is dead in this position.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Wait, they didn't flash it.
A double! A triple!
Oh my god!
Boomich locks in the bomb and pushes into it as well. This is so much control. Not to mention double man advantage. He had so little to work with, and that's all they needed. Everybody else secures their kills. Only 3 rounds the gap now.
Wow, okay, that was a weird moment. Okay, they had 2 players approaching the ramp like they normally do. This is a very common tactic for Gambit, but they had Inters in a position to throw a flash for the ramp. They decided not to do it. They wanted to go the total incognito route, and it's just crazy, man. Gambit, like, they're just so comfortable doing that. They throw the full exec, they just have no regard for anyone potentially playing in the ramp. Maybe it's because Shiro did that damage to Boomich early on, or the fact that they were making that aggressive move with Hobbit and Shiro out through the smoke in the beginning. But that's where they messed up. That could have been a free one. Instead, now NaVi look like geniuses. 3 rifle rounds straight, and look who still has money.
Pressure, man. We talk about the pressure being the folly of Gambit. When the pressure was at its highest at the major, we saw the blowout that was the NaVi victory.
Absolutely. The craziest part about this NaVi is they've had to come back in some of their biggest matches. I mean, even though they've been able to have dominant score lines, nuke streaks, and everything, huge tournament wins, apart from the major where they didn't drop any maps, they've had very close games. They had situations like versus G2 on Nuke, where they had to come back all the way back from like 14-8. But the thing is, they've done that consistently. All that wear and tear is going to do a lot for your stamina. They put in the reps. Certainly Gambit are a touch shaken now. And even though we've seen 3 rifle rounds in a row, this one will be the last for Gambit if they lose. And then suddenly match point will seem farther than it ever has.
Ooh, he drops. That's heard. Oh, but he still gets one. Boomich could catch him off. No, he escapes instead. Doesn't decide to push the issue. And a flubbed Molotov's going to keep Hobbit away from being able to chase, so this gives a little bit more wiggle room for Boomich to just lean back and find his cubby, find his safety, and tuck in. Hope to dig in.
Well, they quite simply just let him work. There's 30 seconds left, and Boomich is sitting in ticket. But again, this can be a neutered position where you will sit, you'll look for info, you might come out for one fight. If you're super sharp that day, you'll get that trade instantly and stay alive, but you're certainly not going to be able to stop the execute completely, and Boomich goes down.
Bit tries to run forward. He's got a lot of targets. Oh my goodness, they're able to shave 2 off the play. Axile again down from underpass, keeping it clean until Simple drops him. And this is a 1v3 attempt, but with 5 health, he has to somehow piece together these 2 kills. And as he swaps through hardware, we've got Gambit's players splitting the difference and taking the extremities of this bomb site, one towards Ticket and one tucked in Palace. A difficult task and a massive ask for Simple. A smoke on his utility belt. He could have gone and tried to piece out with Palace, but instead he leans back, grabs the op, and gives away 15. 4 map points for Gambit to secure the first map of this best of 3.
As soon as one person dies, it's an entire explosion. We're going to have an entire frag movie from Axile in this one position if he keeps this up. Coming out of underpass, switching on a dime, looking like he was just pre-aiming both targets. Like, beautiful rifle work out of Axile. That's what made this convincing. 3 push off the cat, and at least Bit and Simple get their first 2 kills, but the clap back is even louder.
The impact from Axile on underpass.
That's not even a position.
It's not, but he's making it look like one. Gambit break through that little resurgence from NaVi. Those 3 rounds in a row that kept it close could all be for naught. Ooh, but Simple still got some fight.
No more walking up the A ramp, he said.
Just turns him back.
He's sick of it.
Return to the Shire.
That was just so important. Maybe there were just a number of rounds. They could have had an op sitting lazily, holding the A ramp, and just won off of that. No surprise Gambit tried again. They just have not been punished. Every round could be the last. Gambit 4v5, but still have odds.
Ooh, nice nade. 40 health off Nafany. As if fighting back from the 4v5 wasn't going to be hard enough. Electronic.
That's the
red.
Oh,
red like a book.
Bit will come off cat. Oh, he can't get the second player. Shiro looks right back to make sure that he hasn't pushed farther.
Bit of utility here. That's going to stave off what could be the cat assistance for Boomich. He is a solo A play. All that's here to try and stop this bomb plant. And Shiro, he's going to stick around towards middle, so these rotates are going to be even harder. And look at this. Bit is going to fall unsuspectingly to Shiro's off. A back turned and a shot that connects. Now it falls onto Boomich. 10 seconds to deny Gambit from being able to get this bomb plant and to attempt their 16th round win. He's firing off and he falls just in the nick of time. No spray connects. It needs to be the retake here for the 2v3. Perfecto and Simple. They're going to start to push it forward. Axile already in sandwich. It needs to fall on the Undertaker himself. Can he do it? Can he connect all 3? Piecing together the picture with still a little bit of time, but Shiro comes out with the op scoped in, and there it is. A Mirage win for Gambit. They steal away the map pick, and they're taking this to Ancient, where it feels like we've got a hell of an unknown. But this is not the easy peasy reverse sweep from the lower bracket. This is a tested NaVi.